A warm welcome to our audience to the 26th webinar of the GFIdeas India webinar series. I am Akshay Bhatt, the Cultivated Meat Science and Technology Specialist working with GFI India, and we'll be hosting this exciting session today. We also have Ekta Mahendran, an intern who's working with GFI India as a co-host and for support during this webinar. Basically, before we jump on the webinar, initially some rules of engagement. You as a participant can use the Q&A button for questions to the speaker, and also feel free to use the chat, but please not use it for any other topics or for any internal discussions. Also, after the webinar, we will have a Q&A session where all questions will be entertained and answered. The participants will also be given the option of asking your question live. So if you want to ask your question live, please click on the raise your hand button by clicking on the participants button at the bottom center of your screen or your phone screen, and we'll unmute you to ask your question. So very, very quick introduction about the work we do. The Good Food Institute India is a non-profit organization that is dedicated to accelerate the shift to a sustainable, healthy, as well as just food system globally. Our network employs over 150 staff members across the globe with 3 key programmatic areas of work. In science and technology, we have a team of PhD scientists who work to advance and open source, let's say, the foundational science of alternative proteins. We have a corporate engagement team, on the other hand, which builds a relationship with the world's largest food manufacturers, meat companies, restaurants, and retailers to help them capitalize on the opportunities in this emerging sector. We also provide support to entrepreneurs and startups in this sector, as well as connect them with investors as well as financial institutions for fundraising. Our policy team is the third segment where we work, which advocates for fair regulation of plant-based fermentation derived as well as cultivated meat segments of the smart protein sector. And we work together with the government to channel investment into the research and development segment of our sector. So GFI globally plays a unique role in the smart protein sector, and as a non-profit organization, we maximize our impact by sharing knowledge freely in a field where many innovators seek novel solutions, especially when at its nascency is very important, and GFI's research data and insights are open access and support the progress of every innovator and researcher in the space. We also focus on the white space areas. We are laser focused on areas which have not yet been explored, but are high impact and which can provide practical solutions where we can bring products across all 3 segments of the market rapidly. And we also take a very big picture perspective here. GFI works with, let's say, across all these 3 segments, plant-based fermentation, cultivated, and with the public and private sectors across international borders into the future decades. And we spot and address today's industry-wide challenges, and we try to avert any obstacles on the path of taking the sector into maturity. So the key question what we are trying to answer is, how do we feed 10 billion people by 2050, given that UN expects meat demand to grow by 50% by 2050, and how can we do this sustainably, efficiently, as well as safely? So industrial animal agriculture is one of the biggest contributors of environmental issues which we are facing today, such as water use, land use, air pollution, as well as loss of biodiversity. It's also a very, very inefficient way to produce food. For example, it takes like 8 kilocalories to feed a chicken to get 1 kilocalorie in terms of a meat, product. And it's much more worse for pigs as well as cows. So in terms of considering safety, there is a lot of antibiotic resistance because antibiotics are fed, especially in developing countries, in an uncontrolled manner to, let's say, conventionally derived meat producing animals. And also, obviously, everyone's aware about the pandemics, which are even by zoonotic diseases right now. And this is some of, I think at least this is one of the biggest threats or gravest threats which we face today. And this is basically driven by animal agriculture. So we believe the answer to many of these issues is to actually create or make products, meat, dairy, as well as egg products, which people love, but in a more sustainable as well as an efficient manner. So with smart proteins, we can make proteins directly from plants with fermentation technology or using animal cell culture. And instead of asking consumers to give up totally eating meat, what we're trying to do is create the same exact product, but through using technology, cutting edge technology across plant-based fermentation as well as cultivated meat areas. So we see that, these are basically the three segments which I was talking about: plant-based fermentation as well as cultivated meat. Plant-based is basically using plant-derived ingredients and a combination of two or more amenable plant-based ingredients, but to create that exact kind of taste, texture, as well as sensorial attributes of conventionally derived animal meat. The second segment is basically cultivated meat, where you take biopsy out of an animal and you culture basically muscle cells from these animals in combination with, let's say, fat cells and also, let's say, supporting cells such as fibroblasts, and then create basically mincemeat kind of structure, or probably using scaffolds, you can make whole cut meat products as well. And the third segment is basically fermentation, which has three subsegments. That's traditional fermentation, where you actually incubate or, let's say, modify the taste composition of any product using or fermenting with, let's say, a set of standard microbial formulations. And the second segment is basically biomass fermentation, where you actually take advantage of basically the whole biomass of, let's say, fungi, for example, and create products. For example, Code is a company which is actually producing such kind of products since 20, 30 years, but this is a new application area for new companies to jump in and produce products which are closer to the organoleptic properties, taste, and a bunch of other attributes of conventionally derived meat products. And the third segment is precision fermentation, where these companies are producing precisely certain proteins which are of high application in terms of all, let's say, meat, dairy, as well as egg products. For example, there's a company called let's say, Perfect Day, which is producing which is producing cow milk-based whey proteins. But again, they're using microorganisms to basically change their DNA, add DNA which contains basically let's say the sequence which is basically codes for whey protein. And there are a bunch of other companies which are also producing egg proteins and other proteins applicable in this segment. But again, I don't want to spend more time on all these slides. In India, we are definitely carrying out a lot of initiatives. We have the India Smart Protein Innovation Challenge, where we are trying to build capacity in terms of graduates, researchers, early stage professionals. We had 2 tracks this year. I should say it started last year and culminated this year, somewhere mid of this year. Where we had 2 tracks. One was basically to ideate. The second one was seriously on, let's say, entrepreneurship. And all the participants were given access to curated webinars, mentorship sessions, where the winners walked away with 1 lakh rupees in cash. And we had 20 winners this time. And we look forward to having the SPIC 2023 moving forward into the next year, and which will be much more, let's say, in terms of prize money or in terms of innovation and ideation. We look at several notches higher in terms of representation from both GFI India as well as in terms of participation. And we also have, on the other hand, protein innovation hubs. We are establishing centers of excellence across key universities in India. We are launching open access research grant programs in the smart protein through various central government agencies such as DBT, DST, and BIDAC. And we also developing talent through launching smart protein curriculum in universities such as the Gujarat Biotechnology Universities in the very near future. We also place ourselves and partner with, let's say, incubation as well as accelerator programs to bring special interest and drive, let's say, entrepreneurship in this segment of in the smart protein sector. So we also have our own funding mechanism, which is getting super competitive as the years pass by. We have the Global Competitive Research Grant Program, CRGP, where we actually fund, let's say, white space areas and support research teams which come out with cutting-edge solutions, potentially cutting-edge solutions, which are aimed to improving, let's say, the organoleptic properties for scale-up of alternative proteins. And this is open basically worldwide to academia, government, corporates, as well as startups. And we also have a different focus on sustainable seafood initiative, which funds high-impact research to address critical bottlenecks and challenges in this emerging sector. So I think I can just stop my introduction here. And if anyone from the audience has any questions, you can write us to india@gfi.org. And also for more information, please visit www.gfi.org. And without much without further ado, I would like to introduce the speaker today. Our speaker today is Dr. Nitin. Dr. Nitin Trivedi is working as an assistant professor at the Department of Marine Biotechnology, Gujarat Biotechnology, University, India. He obtained his graduation and post-graduation degree in microbiology and completed his PhD in biological sciences from the CSMCRI from Gujarat, India, in 2015. And from 2015 up until 2022, Dr. Trivedi worked at WBT-ICT Center for Energy Biosciences, one of our key stakeholders based out of Mumbai, Institute of Chemical Technology, as a postdoctoral researcher, as well as a DST-inspired faculty. During this tenure, he taught microbiology in different UG courses, and he's also been working in the area of marine biotechnology with special emphasis on seaweed-derived biofuels / biorefinery, value addition of seafood byproducts, seaweed growth engineering, phytoremediation, bioprospecting of marine microbes for byproducts of the industry, byproducts which are of industrial importance. So far, he has published 28 articles in SCI journals, and he has 2 patents in his name. Dr. Trivedi has received several national as well as international fellowships, like the DST Inspired Faculty by DST New Delhi, DSK PDF by UGC New Delhi, CSIR SRF New Delhi, ARO PDF and Israel PDF at Dalhousie University, Canada. And he's also been a visiting scientist at the Institute of Algarve, Portugal, guest researcher at the University of Messina, Italy as well. So Dr. Trivedi has delivered several invited talks, served as a reviewer of SCI journals / funding agencies, and is associated as an examiner with institutes of national as well as international importance. So a very, very warm welcome, Dr. Nitin, and thank you for joining us and basically, giving an opportunity for all the audience, all the participants today to learn more about the emerging algae sector in terms of smart protein applications. So without delaying further, I would like to pass it on to Dr. Nitin. Dr. Nitin, over to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Akshay, for a wonderful introduction. Good evening, everyone. Before starting my talk, I would like to tell about my new institute where I'm working. It is the world's first biotech university, Gujarat Biotechnology University, based at Gandhinagar, Gujarat. And we are, mainly working in the area of animal biotechnology, plant biotechnology, medical biotechnology, environmental biotechnology, and industrial biotechnology. So these are the core biotech areas. Apart from that, we have a marine biotechnology department and the bioinformatics department. And this is a specialization, masters by research, and PhD courses are going to, start. Okay, so at the outset, I would like to thank GFI India and mainly Akshay for giving me this opportunity to, deliver a talk on algal proteins. So I think last month I have, spoke on seaweed as a source of protein, because that is my area or forte. I have been working in the area of seaweed biotechnology, since 2009. But I think in this talk, I will try to cover microalgae as well, and I hope I will do justice with that also. So in this talk, I will, cover what are the, source of proteins and, different macroalgae and microalgal source of proteins, then different extraction strategies, their market values, and some part of work which I have carried out along with my colleague, and how we can use this kind of a platform for algal based protein. So Akshay, I request, in case of any technical glitch, please, let me know.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the title of talk is Exploring India's Coastline, the Scope of Algae as a Smart Protein Sources. Okay, India is blessed with around 7,500 kilometer long coastlines, and, it is not exploited or, explored much, despite having, potential applications of algae. If I talk about, specifically marine algae, okay, so it can be a microalgae or a macroalgae. So as we all know that, why proteins are important, because it has several roles to play in a human body. For example, it helps in growth and maintenance. It maintains proper pH. It regulates several biochemical reactions. It helps in transport and storage of nutrients. Then it boosts our immune system or health. It balances different fluids in the body. It also acts as a messenger, and it provides structure as well as energy. Okay, so these all are the very important and crucial roles of protein, which we all know. Apart from that, this webinar is on a plant-based protein or a meat alternate. So there are different plant-based sources, which includes your fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds. So in this image, you can see that different variety of plant-based protein sources are there. So apart from plant-based protein, largely protein source is in the form of animal-based food, which comes from your meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and dairy products. Okay, but due to several issues or environmental or health issues, now people have started their focus from animal-based food to the plant-based food, and or mainly the plant-based proteins. So this is the data taken from our review, which we published last year. So here you can see these are the different general steps involved in the plant based meat analog production, just for basic understandings to the audience. So first we'll identify and isolate identify the protein rich plant sources. Then we'll go for the protein extraction and characterization. Followed by that, we'll go for the formulation of meat replica dough by adding different ingredients such as fats, oils, or binding agents, flavoring substances, or coloring agents and preservatives. So it will provide a kind of a taste and texture to the meat. Okay, plant-based meat, which mimics to the animal-based meat. After that, we'll go for the processing of plant-based meat analog. Okay, generally to provide the shape and texture and structure. And once you have prepared this plant-based meat analog, then it is ready for processing for to distribute under different labels. Okay, you can use for a variety of products. And then once you have ready with your product, it will go to the market after approval from the food drug administration or kind of regulatory agencies. Okay, and in the right hand side you can see these are the research articles published on the plant-based meat analogs, okay, in different journals from 2010 to 2020. Okay, so I think in last decade this sector has gained a much interest, but now I think in this coming decade, which is 2020 to 2030, or in coming years, I think the number of articles or kind of startups will be much more higher, because I think as we know that the proteins is very important supplement for our diet. And let me give you some data about India. Okay, despite I think one question always strikes my mind these days, that why UN has set sustainable goals, which includes this population management or hunger management or poverty management. So are these goals or problems which we have generated, and now we are finding solutions for it? Okay, so if I see the most important factor is the increasing population. At present we have 7.3 billion population, worldwide population, and which is expected to increase by around 9.7 billion by 2050. And this increase will lead to increase in food, water, then energy, or different requirements. And if I talk about food, I think by 2050, almost 90 to 100% increase in the food supply will be there, comparison to today's requirement. So India, we know that, the population is increasing day by day, and despite the good economic performance with, over 200 million people who are food, insecure, India is home to the largest number of hungry people. Okay, over 200 million people are, kind of hungry. Okay, and if I talk about the ranking, the global hunger index in 2017 was 100 out of 119 countries. So you can see that where we are flying. Okay, we are standing at 100 out of 119 countries, and it has a serious good food security situation, and which is given 31.4 kind of percentage or calculation. So you can see that where we are heading due to this population. And 8 in every 10 Indians, they have a limited meat in their diet, and 4 in every 10 Indian, they are vegetarian. Okay, so if I talk about the ratio of vegetarian people in India, it is around 39%. Okay, and we all vegetarian people, especially they have a deficiency of protein, because most of the proteins it is supplemented or coming from the meat kind of meat based foods. Okay, so I think we are struggling with this, and I don't know about the European or Western countries, but I think these algal proteins or plant based proteins, these sectors requires tremendous attention in India in coming years. Okay, so let's talk about algae. Okay, so algae, they are a diverse collection of photosynthetic eukaryotic organisms, or prokaryotic cyanobacteria. Okay, and unlike higher plants, algae lacks roots, stems, or leaves. They can be found in fresh water or marine water. So they are classified into macroalgae and microalgae. So if I talk about macroalgae, further they are classified into phaeophyta, chlorophyta, rhodophyta based on their pigmentation and morphology. And seaweeds have around 10,000 species worldwide. And when we talk about microalgae, they are classified into different kind of division, which includes your cyanophyta, porophyta, pyrophyta, chrysophyta, and there is a mistakes, chrysophyta. Okay, so they include cyanobacteria or genoflates, diatoms, and green algae. Okay, so they are mainly the types of algae. Why algae are getting importance? Because they have several advantages. They consume a higher amount of carbon dioxide. If I talk about seaweeds, they sequester 200 millions of carbon dioxide per year. Okay, and they grow fast. Okay, compared to the terrestrial plants, they are have several bioactive compounds. They are highly nutrient rich. They does not compete with agricultural for their cultivation. They do not require fresh water. If I talk about the marine algae, okay, and if we take an example of microalgae, then we can use wastewater to grow microalgae, okay, and kind of work on the bioremediation system. Apart from that, as I said, that they are rich in several products, so several industrial products can be prepared or made from the algae. And the last is that they create jobs, okay, because we know if any product comes to the market, then it will require manpower, okay. And I think India is still not doing well in algal based products or market, but Western countries or other part of world, they are doing extremely well in algal based product. Here is a model just to for the benefit of audience, that algae, they utilize sunlight, okay, through the process of photosynthesis in the presence of nitrogen and phosphorus. Okay, they grow. Once they grow, we can use different harvesting and extraction strategies, okay, to separate this biomass from the wastewater or water or the source in which we are growing this algae. Once we have harvested, then we'll have algal biomass which can be explored for different applications, such as production of algal fish feed. Okay, then can be used for pharmaceutical applications, nutraceutical application, as they have high protein content and have different bioactive components which can be used in cosmetic applications. So entire algal biomass can be used for all these applications, or we can extract different value-added products, and that can also divert it for a specific applications. So seaweeds have a market value of around $12 billion and the worldwide production was around 33 million tons fresh weight biomass, and the market is expected to increase by $22 billion by 2024. And India is dominating in seaweed cultivation, okay, whereas 99% is cultivated dominated by the Asian countries. And red and brown seaweeds are widely cultivated due to their proven applications in the field of hydrocolloids and fertilizers. But now, in last decades, I think green seaweeds also have found tremendous potential, and now several startups and companies have started working on green seaweeds and production of green seaweeds for different value-added products. This is about microalgae market. Okay, so the current microalgae market is projected around $11.4 billion, which is expected to increase by $18.1 billion by 2028 with a annual growth rate of 8%, and it is dominated by spirulina, chlorella, dunaliella, and hematococcus, and they have a wide variety of applications in food and beverages sectors, health and medical sectors, animal food sector, pet food sector, cosmetic and personal care or fertilizer sectors. And at present, the market is dominated by the North America, and but the fastest growing market is Asia Pacific. Okay, and if we talk about the key players of microalgae, Lonza, then Eastman, Eastman, Desiel, Lakshmi Organics, Mitsubishi, Jubilant, Toronto. All these companies are key players in microalgal production or microalgal based products. Here again, the production of microalgae is dominated by the China, followed by Chile, France, Greece, Tunisia, and all. And the worldwide production of microalgae in 2018 was around 54,850 tons, and out of this, 54,000 tons was alone contributed by spirulina or arthrospira, and the rest of the production was by or from green microalgae. Okay, so here you can see spirulina is the mostly cultivated microalgae, which is mainly used as a capsules or a source of protein. Here are some edible micro and macroalgae. Okay, so they are classified into kind of three sources: non-novel food, novel food, and under research. So non-novel food categories here you can see in this diagram. Okay, so they have already explored or established. Okay, and novel food is kind of intermediate applications or algae, and under research is they are upcoming algal species, maybe micro and macroalgae. So if I talk about a microalgae, this chlorella, okay, arthrospira, they are under research and have a wide applications or proven applications. And in case of macroalgae, green seaweeds like ulva, okay, macrocystis, this laminaria, gracilaria, they all are under research. And seaweeds, like microalgae, seaweeds species such as this pyropia, saccharima, palmaria, okay, monostroma, fucus, chondrus, okay, ascophyllum, they all have been explored as a source of edible applications. In this graph, you can see the protein content of microalgae and macroalgae have been compared with some established protein sources such as turkey, beef, soy, and chickpea and all. Okay, so they have a high protein content up to 60%. Here you can see some of the microalgae also found to have a similar protein content. Okay, started from 20 to 60 or 70% of the protein, which can be comparable to the different plant or meat-based protein sources. And macroalgae, obviously they have a low protein content, but some seaweed species found to have a 30 to 40% of the protein, okay, which can be used for a good source of protein or other food-based applications. When we compare the amino acid profiling of this microalgae or macroalgae with other sources such as vegetables, animals, so they lie together, okay, because they contain a similar amount of essential amino acids. Here you can see in this table, chlorella, dunaliella, and spirulina, they have around 30 to 40% gram of essential amino acid per gram of protein. Okay. Similarly, macroalgae also found to have similar content of essential amino acids starting from 30 to 47. Okay, in all brown, green, and red seaweeds, and which is equivalent to the or higher to the essential amino acids of some of the vegetables. Okay, and kind of equivalent to the animal-based sources which has the essential amino acids. Now, as we know that proteins are the biological molecules and macromolecules made up of amino acids, and amino acids they are classified into the two types: essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. So essential amino acids, they cannot be produced by body, and they we have to take them through a diet. Okay, whereas the non-essential amino acids, they are synthesized by the body. That's why we need we require different protein sources which can fulfill the requirement of these essential amino acids. And here, as you can see, if you compare this algal sources, okay, or algal species, they are similar, or they are superior to the superior in essential amino acids compared to the plant or other animal-based protein sources. Here is the last column is the WHO requirement, okay, which is set up, and they have set up 26.5 gram of essential amino acids per 100 gram of protein should be there. Okay, so when we compare algal-based essential amino acids content, they are higher than the limit set up by the WHO. Okay, so the important thing about algal protein is that they have tremendous bioactivity. Okay, so in this diagram you can see different species, both micro and macroalgae, have been found to have a different activities. Okay, bioactivity. Some species can be act as an anticoagulant. Okay, antioxidant, anti-diabetic, antimicrobial, anti-proliferative, anti-hypersensitive, anti-inflammatory, and anti-arteriosclerotic activity. Okay, so all these activities has been tested after extraction of protein from these different algal species. Okay, after that they have been maybe converted into the biopeptides, okay, or some kind of concentrate or some kind of formulation, and then they have tested all this kind of activity. So when we talk about the seaweed proteins, okay, here are the different red, green, and brown seaweed which are protein rich. Okay, I will not take the names because I have already explained in the earlier slide. Okay, so all these biomass or algal species can be processed using these different methods to extract the protein, which mainly includes your solid liquid extraction, enzyme assisted, microwave assisted, ultrasound assisted, pulse electric, osmotic shock, and homogenization or protein precipitation. Okay, so similar kind of extraction methods can also be employed for protein extraction from microalgae. And once you have this protein extracted, you can go for amino acid profiling. Okay, after digestion. And when you do amino acid profiling, then you will get profile or different type of amino acids. mainly the essential amino acids. Similarly, here microalgae, protein-rich microalgae can be used to extract different proteins, using different methods. Similarly, which I have mentioned for the seaweed protein extraction. Okay, once we have a protein extracted, then we'll go for the purification using different methods, this dialysis, ultrafiltration, or ion chromatography. Then if we want to make a bioactive peptides, then we have to go for hydrolysis, mainly enzymatic hydrolysis. We can also go for a chemical hydrolysis or microbial fermentations to convert these proteins into different bioactive components. Okay, so once we have we have done with the hydrolysis, we can go for a peptide separation and characterization. And similarly, the amino acid profiling can also be done for this amino acids, okay, isolated from the microalgae. So the process or extraction will be same, okay, but it mainly depends on the type of algae you are using. Okay, so that we'll discuss in the next slide. Here are some protein content of microalgae. Here you can see the algae highlighted in green are high in protein content. Okay, and it includes your Anabina, then Arthrospira, Chlorella, okay, Euglena, Hematococcus, Synartesmus, then this is Syncococcus. Okay, so they have a high protein content up to 60%. Okay, that's why microalgae have a huge applications in a food sector due to this high protein content. When we talk about the protein content of seaweeds, again they also have a high protein content up to 40%. Okay, the high protein content is found in red seaweeds, followed by green seaweeds, then brown seaweeds. And the most common seaweed species includes your Ulva, Codium, Porphyra, then Chondrus, Palmaria, okay, then Fucus. Okay, so they have a high protein content compared to other seaweed species. Okay, so this is again just for the understanding of the students that what are the general steps in extraction of microalgal proteins. So first we'll cultivate microalgae, okay, using a fresh water or wastewater, right? So of course the growth optimization will be required, okay, to grow, to get a higher biomass production. So once the parameters were optimized, we'll have a high biomass yield. Okay, then we'll go for the harvesting, and then we'll dry the harvested biomass. So this dried biomass can directly be used, as a wholesale protein product. Okay, so this is the first kind of protein product. The second is then, you can process this dried biomass, okay, through different methods, mainly the cell disruption method. So whatever the proteins are there, it will come out, okay. And then you will go for the debris removal. Then you will, go for the concentration. Then you will be, getting a isolates or a protein concentrates. Okay, so this is a second form of proteins. And in third, to obtain a third kind of this protein form, you have to go for a enzymatic hydrolysis or protein hydrolysis to convert it into the kind of protein hydrolysates, right? And then last is your separation, where you will get the bioactive peptides. Okay, so here you can see that the protein can be used in a different form, okay, as a wholesale protein, then a protein concentrate, or protein hydrolysates, or bioactive peptides. Most of the bioactive studies are carried out in using this fraction, protein hydrolysates or a bioactive peptides. Okay, and then depending on their peptides, they can show different kind of bioactivities, which I have discussed in the previous slide. Okay, so this is overall idea about the microalgal proteins, and this is similar for the seaweed protein. Okay, the steps will be similar. Okay, the process will be similar. Only the methods will be different, because seaweeds have a different structure, because they have a presence of structural and storage polysaccharide, mainly the hydrocolloids. So the cell wall disruption methods will be different. Okay, because as I said, due to the presence of different polysaccharides, After that, the process will be same. Okay, they will get the protein rich fractions. Then you will, go for the recovery or purification of the protein using different methods: ultrafiltration, chromatography, dialysis, or precipitation by, ammonium sulfate. And once we have, concentrated form, we'll go for the drying and we'll supplement with the food. Okay, so basically the steps will be similar, but the choice of methods will be different. One thing I would like to mention here is that, the selection of, selection of the algae and, the harvesting time is very important. In which duration you have harvested the algae. Okay, if you have a harvested algae in a full active form, then there are chances you will get a high content of protein. Okay, and you have if you have isolated them, you have harvested algae in in a kind of non-mature form, then obviously the protein or other bioactive component concentration will be less. Okay, so that is very important, that in which phase you are harvesting algal biomass and you are processing for protein and other component. Apart from that, obviously season is very important, that in which season you are harvesting biomass. Okay, so all these are the parameters which plays crucial roles in extraction of different biocomponent, not only the proteins. So this is a dedicated seaweed protein market. Okay, currently it is a $585 million US, which is expected to increase by 1,100 million US dollar by 2027, with a annual growth rate of 14.1%. And again, the fastest growing market is your Asia Pacific. Okay, and these are the major players of seaweed protein. Similarly, this is for a microalgal protein market. Okay, here you can see the distribution is given of the market share from low to high. Okay, and the current market is expected around it is around 700 million, which is expected to increase by around 1 billion by 2028, and again mainly in the form of algal protein capsules, because this spirulina or chlorella, they are directly consumed as a capsule because they have a high protein content around up to 60 or 70%. Okay, and again the market is dominated by the North America, and the fastest growing market is Asia Pacific. And when we talk about the key players, this Sinotech, Seagrass, Algasource, Dupleto, this Rocket, so they are the key players in microalgal proteins. These are the some data or information where this algal-based meat or algal-based food industries from different part of the world. Okay, Israel, United States, Singapore, Thailand. Okay, so they started some kind of companies or startup where they are using this algae as a source of food or meat alternate or plant-based meat. Similarly, also France, Italy, Canada, and India also. Some startups are there which are using this algae for food applications, and I think in coming years many startups will come where they will use microalgae as well as macroalgae for different food applications or microalgal applications. Okay, so this is very interesting. Can we say that algal biorefinery can be a source of circular bioeconomy? And the reason is that if we mainly focus on the protein content, okay, then it will be a kind of single extraction from biomass. And if we extract a couple of more products from algae apart from protein, then we can make it a kind of circular bioeconomy, because as I said that algae are rich in different bioactive component. Apart from protein, they have polysaccharides, and different pigments, vitamins. And if we extract this component along with proteins, then it can be help in making a circular economy. So how it starts? Okay, so first, as we cultivate algae using different methods. Okay, land-based cultivation, sea farming, or IMTA, integrated this multi-trophic aquaculture system, or photobioreactor-based algae cultivation. then obviously it will generate, employment to the people of mainly the coastal communities. Okay, so here you are generating employment, right? Once you have algae grown, you will go for the harvesting and extraction and processing of different, value-added products from this algae. And this product can be a primary products or secondary products, right? Which can be ended up in, different industry, nutraceutical industry, pharmaceutical industry, cosmeceutical industry, or can be a source of different, hazardous biochemicals. So again, here we are, generating money out of these products, and again generating employment, right, or manpower. Then, as I said that, there is no competition. If we talk about marine algae, then they do not require, fertile land and fresh water. Okay, and they do not compete with food and feed from the terrestrial resources, right? They are a kind of eco-friendly and renewable, because the biomass is grown using, through the process of photosynthesis. Okay, so they are kind of sustainable and renewable sources, and they helps in reducing air and water pollution. Then it is a kind of, green technology. And if we are cultivating a microalgae using a wastewater, then it helps in the maintaining ecosystem as well. Okay, so kind of wastewater remediation, right? So here you can see that by using this different component, we can generate employment as well as money, and that money can be used for a social development. Let's take an example that Excel or Pidilite industry. They have one NGO, or all the industries, they have, they require to do work for a social community. Okay, so I take an example of Excel or Pidilite. They have a NGO at Kutch or Bhuj, where I think my professor, Dr. Seaweed Reddy, was there. Okay, so the aim of, or the motto of the NGO was to, to promote social activities. So they have started this algal cultivation there to provide employment to the coastal community. Okay, so this is how we can use this algae cultivation or algae biomass in a social development. These are the places of algal research in India. Okay, it includes both macroalgae as well as microalgae. Obviously, the macroalgae or marine algae research centers are very less. If I talk about institutes like CSIR, CSMCRI, NIO Goa, which is again a CSR laboratory, CMFRI. Okay, then they are the identified institutes. But apart from that, ICT Mumbai have worked on macroalgae, or they're working good in microalgae. Different IIT institutes, they are also working actively on microalgae, mainly on microalgae. Okay, and different state or institute of national importance, they are also involved in the microalgal or macroalgal research. Okay, so the research is going on, there is no doubt, but I think in coming years, I think the research should be converted into the kind of startups or industry. Okay, so we need to translate this laboratory research into the products which can helps to the society. Okay, it is not an easy job, it is a tedious job, because algal cultivation is a kind of a tedious job, and it requires different parameters. Okay, that when you design a bioreactors or a different kind of setup that requires capex and opex, and that is I think you can say the key factor in kind of which create hurdles in algal cultivation. Okay, because it requires trained manpower, and if we have a team, okay, which design this kind of reactors, then you require process engineers which can process this algal biomass into different valuable products. For that also you require a setup. Okay, and that setups requires kind of engineers, right? So it is a kind of tough job, but it can be doable. And I think in coming years, we'll come up with different kind of startups or a system or proof of concepts where started from algal cultivation to the biomass processing for different value-added products. Okay, so I have started working on green seaweeds, okay, because they have a high growth rate and biomass production. They are opportunistic species. Whenever they get, opportunity, or they have a high nitrogen and phosphate content, they will grow as a green tide or algal bloom, okay, and there was no direct utilization as compared to the red and brown seaweeds, right? So I started working on bioethanol production from green seaweeds. So the cellulose content was around 15 to 17%. So I utilized that cellulose for bioethanol production. Then the question came that what about remaining biomass? Okay. Then our group have started working on a biorefinery, and we designed a biorefinery for all red, green, and brown seaweeds. So I worked on a biorefinery of green seaweeds. Okay, so the biorefinery is a facility that integrates biomass conversion process and equipments to produce fuels, power, and chemicals from the biomass. So here you can see this is a conventional, oil refinery where we are generating different products from the fossil resources. But in case of biorefinery, you are using a biomass, okay, which produced through the process of photosynthesis. So they are renewable and sustainable kind of process, and through different process and methodology, you can produce fuels, chemical products, and biomaterials. So now people are more, emphasizing on biorefinery approach. So these are the advantages of seaweed biorefinery, because we can produce a stream of products from biomass with a minimal wastage, okay, and we can make it a sustainable or a kind of a economical model, right? So this is what I have worked on. I have processed green seaweed for different product extraction, such as mineral-rich liquid extract, then followed by the lipid, ulvan, which is a sulfated polysaccharide, and the last residue was rich in cellulose, which I converted into the ethanol. So initially I converted this the cellulose of alga into the ethanol, but after the introduction of this biorefinery, I was able to get different products. Okay. So, and these products can have a different applications depending on their, importance, right? I have also started working, on a protoplast production or biomass production from the ulva biomass, right? And the purpose was that, we should have a model or a round the year facility where we can generate, this kind of biomass in case if we cannot go to the field and collect biomass again and again. Okay, so if we have this kind of setup, then just we simply have to isolate the protoplast from biomass, okay, using enzymatic treatment. In 3 hours of time, you will get the biomass, this protoplast. Then you can transfer it into the different vertical or horizontal tank, and after at the end of 1 month, you will be able to get the entire biomass from the protoplast. Okay, so this is if you have this kind of, okay, so as I said, biomass production is very important, and availability of biomass throughout the year is very important. So I also worked on the protoplast isolation of green seaweed. Okay, so the process includes your treatment of this biomass using enzymes, and in 3 hours or 4 hours of time, you will get a protoplast which you can transfer to the different vertical or horizontal tank, and under optimal temperature and light intensity, you will be able to grow entire biomass, seaweed biomass from this protoplast in a kind of 1 month time of period. Okay, so people have also worked on protoplast isolation from red and brown seaweeds, but it is easy to get protoplast from green seaweeds because the cell wall is not as tough compared to the red and brown seaweeds. As I worked on DBT ICT Center for several years, and they have a wonderful state-of-the-art facility for algal growth or cultivation. Okay, so I have worked on seaweeds and the group which I have joined, they have also worked on this algal cultivation or seaweed cultivation, and the facility was established by algal people who worked at the DBT ICT Center. Okay, so here you can see when you go to lab and you see them growing, it makes you happy. Okay, so I worked on green seaweeds, so I have shown here only the the system of green seaweeds. Now I think uh, students or faculty are also working on different seaweeds over there. Okay, so this is again the work which I was a part, and where we have successfully demonstrated the ulva cultivation in a photobioreactor. The work was carried out by Akanksha Mhatre and guided by Dr. Reena Pandit and Professor A.M. Lali. I was also part of that work in the DSI project. Okay, so we were able to get 137 tons of dry weight of biomass if we calculate production per hectare per year. Okay, and this biomass production is 3 times higher than the value which is around 45 tons of dry weight per hectare per year reported from the land-based cultivation reported earlier. Okay, so 3 times higher. And if we take a cost of 1 kg of dried ulva biomass, then it is around $45. Okay, so this much of biomass, 137 tons dry weight, can generate around 6.1 million US dollar income. Okay, and if we employ the biorefinery model here, so as you have seen that I missed that protein extraction in my biorefinery model because due to the time limitations. My junior Dr. Tejal worked on the protein extraction, and she incorporated that step in seaweed biorefinery or ulva biorefinery. So I extracted mineralized liquid extract, then protein, ulvan, and cellulose. And she, apart from this, she able to go. She was able to get protein. Okay. And if we calculate or we extract different product, okay, considering this value 137 ton, which was estimated by the system established or demonstrated by DBT ICT team. Okay, so we'll be able to get 4.1 ton of lipids, then 32.4 ton of sulfated polysaccharide, which is ulvan, 15 ton of proteins, and 15 ton of cellulose, and 4.74 tons of starch. Okay, and if this these different products can be used for different high-end products, then you can assume that what kind of wealth we can generate from the this seaweed biomass. Okay, so this is just for the idea that how we can cultivate the seaweeds and what different kind of products can be extracted and which can be used for different applications. Still, I think now the setup has setups are coming where they are processing this entire biomass into these different products, and that can be used for different applications. Okay, so these are the scope of improvement in India. Okay, so if we have a sound biomass production supply, then if we have a trained manpower both in field of macroalgae and microalgae, that would be good. Then awareness among people, because still we have that stereotype of thinking that how can we use algae as a food in our daily diets, though we are using different component of algae in our daily diets, like so the sulfated polysaccharides in toothpaste, in ice creams, okay, in confectionaries, in beverages, we are consuming daily, but we are not aware. Then public and private investment. I think government of India, mainly Prime Minister and Finance Minister in last budget, they have specially emphasized on this segment that we have to strengthen this blue economy or blue biotechnology, where we will use ocean resources to generate employment for the community people. Okay, then we also require a strong R&D for value addition technology. Okay, as I said that very limited people are working, so I think in coming years people will work and they will come up with a different technology. And the last is your supply chain management. Okay, so these are the scope of improvement in India, and now several policies has been set up And I think in coming decades, I think we'll be able to, encounter all the problems which we are facing right now. And this is the last slide of my talk. Okay, hypothetically I made that for a successful algal industry or marine biotech industry, what are the steps you require from laboratory research to the technology. Okay, so let's start with the ocean resources. It can be any bioresource from ocean, right? Microorganisms or algae. So first step will be your screening and selection of commercially important organism. Okay, depending on the kind of review of literature or already done research, you can screen and select the commercially important organisms. Then you will go for the growth optimization and subculturing kind of facility, as I have mentioned about the protoplast facility, so that you can have a around the year cultivation of the biomass, and whenever you require, you can use those biomass to do growth optimization studies. Then you will have to go for a proof of concept development. Okay, depending on the applications, you will isolate or extract or design a process for the biomass, this product extraction, right? Once you have a POC ready, you will go for the laboratory and pilot scale studies, and then the industry people can approach, or you can go approach to the industry people that we are ready with data or products. Would you like to invest in it? Okay, and if they are ready, then the product will come to the market. So likewise, if you explore these ocean resources into the products, then it will includes your economic growth, then improved livelihood, and indirectly or directly the employment generation, right? Because several startup will come or industry will come, then the people will get employment, not only in this at the stage of product, but during cultivation of this ocean resources as well. And if we explore these ocean resources, then it comes under blue economy and revolution, or blue biotechnology. And as we know that India is home to 170 million people, and if in coming years, if we come up or ended with such kind of startups or algal or marine biotech industries, then I think that will be a fantastic job. And this is a process. Okay, it is a chain. Then it start with the academia, where you can use up to TRL3 technology readiness level 1 to TRL3, where you can work on the basic R&D or basic technology or kind of proof of concept. Then the next step is your TRL4 to TRL6. Okay, so it is a kind of collaboration or a kind of pilot scale demonstration. Okay, and the last is TRL7 to TRL9, which is your industry or a business development. Okay, so this is an entire process from laboratory to the technology, and through this you can get funding from different organizations like government funding. If you are ready with a proof of concept, then you can go for a translational funding. Okay, a different agency are providing translational funding. Then you can go for international funding, then public-private partnership. Okay, if you are ready with a POC, you can go to the industry people, and if they are interested, they can fund you the project. Then academia, industry collaboration, and consultancy-based project. If industry are already working in that, and if you they can approach faculty, who are technical expert in that particular area, so they can guide industry people, and they will get a kind of consultancy project. So this is a kind of model for successful algal biotech industry or marine biotech industry. So today, I think I will close with statement kind of then. Today entire day I was at Gift City, where this Gujarat government, okay, GSBTM has organized a bio conclave for bio startups and bio incubators. Okay, so they all were talking about the startups, biotechnology startups mainly, how tremendously they are working, or what kind of plans they are coming up with that. And I just noted down some points that in 2012 that the biotech startup were around only 50, and now we have around more than 5,300 biotech startups. Then only 6 incubators were there, which now increased up to 74. Okay, the number of products in 2012 was 10, and now it is around 700 products. Then the fund raised in 2012 due to the using this biotech was around 10 CR, and now it is increased up to 4,200 crores. And the last is your job created in 2012 it was 250, and now 25,000 jobs have been created. So this is the very interesting slide I found. So I thought that I can use this for today's talk. So the overall aim was now the government is taking initiatives, and now they are funding more in biotechnology based startups. And if I talk about algal startups or algal protein startups or plant based protein startups, I think this is a new area, and it is essential and crucial in terms of India. Then I think the government would love to provide fundings, because we are facing several health issues as well as these hunger issues. So that's it from my side. Once again, I would like to thank GFI for giving me this opportunity. And I just have started my career as an assistant professor towards research. So I might have kind of okay, so I just started my career as an assistant professor a few months back. I have joined this Gujarat Biotechnology University. So I am also learning, as you know, that research or this education is a continuous learning process. So you might have found that some kind of information is missing in my talk, or that fluency is not there. But I'm working on this, and I think in coming years, over with experience, I think I will improve in these areas. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Nitin. I think we are at time, probably a couple of minutes over. But quickly, I think there are a couple of questions in the Q&A section. Both of these people are not there anymore. I think they had some other commitments. But sorry, we have a question from Amod Salgaonkar, who's a really good stakeholder for GFI India as well. He's more into the fisheries areas, cultivated seafood, but his question is, Dr. Nitin, you mentioned about utilization of algae in fish feed. In your knowledge, could you please share which companies in India are doing the same? I think we'll definitely follow up in terms of recording. We'll have this on the YouTube. So if you could just answer this question.
Fish feed, exactly. I'm sorry, I could not be able to name the companies, but several startups or industries in South India, okay, they are mainly involved in this kind of fish feed production. And if I'm not wrong, that Godrej, I think, and they have some kind of setup for this fish feed and all. But maybe I will get back to you maybe after this talk with a more systematic and clear information.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Dr. Nitin. And if anyone from the audience has any question, if you guys want to ask it live, please raise your hand. There's a raise hand button below. You can see that. Please raise your hand if you want to ask a question live. But just moving on to the next question, I think a couple of entrepreneurs who would like to potentially collaborate with you. This question is from Jay Gupta, and his co-founder or his partner would be Yadidya Mandalapu. So both of them are working on creating something called, as the name of the company is Smart Media. They want to create spirulina-based FPS-free culture media formulations. His question is, it's very generic. Are there any industries producing protein isolates or bioactive peptides?
In India? In India, I don't think, I think it is there. but in different part of world, companies are making these kind of bioactives. R&D is going on, this bioactive hydrolysates formation from both macro and microalgae in Indian institutes, but I doubt that any startup or industry is there. But I request Jay and group that I will get back to you after this webinar with a more precise information.
Got it. Thank you. There's one more question from Megha Shah. How to select the best season to harvest red seaweeds for protein extraction?
Very interesting question. Because seaweeds grow, high in a kind of after this, monsoon and before summer. Okay, so that is the best time because and whenever you go for the collection from the nature, you'll be able to get idea after seeing them that whether they are fully grown or not. Okay, and if you're growing them in a laboratory, okay, you're cultivating in a laboratory, then you have to go for a proximate composition analysis, right, which includes all your protein, carbohydrate, lipids, minerals, and after that profiling only you will be able to know whether that the biomass is has a good proximate composition or not, and obviously after comparing with the data available in the literature.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for that, Dr. Nitin. If anyone from the audience has any more questions, please type it out, or I can unmute you if you have to, or if you want to ask the question live. But in the meantime, I had a couple of questions for you, Nitin. So thanks for comparing the protein concentration in various seaweed species. It's a very basic question. So are all these seaweeds edible? Like, for example, do they have like regulatory approvals to be sold in India or anywhere across the globe as a food product? And in terms of organoleptic properties, let's say in terms of taste, neutral tasting, or meat-like taste or whatever. So is there any research on these seaweed species saying that, okay, this is something which is neutral tasting, it can be used as an ingredient to build up the volume, as well as provide nutrition in terms of the protein content? Or would some of these seaweed species have this meaty characteristic feature, which can be a plug-in for the other two segments, right? So if not, let's say cultivated meat, at least from the plant-based segment.
Yes, marine algae, specifically seaweeds, can be, provide that kind of, you can say smell, okay, because it grows in seawater. So if you smell typical seaweeds, then they will have that, fishy kind of smell. And if we talk about, that processing or texturing, then, you have to add some kind of ingredients to, provide that meat kind of texture and all. And regarding that nutritional aspects, yes, they are rich in, different amino acids, as I mentioned they are rich in essential amino acids. So definitely they both macro and microalgae have a potential to become a meat as a vegan meat. Okay. I think USA or Israel, in my slide, I have mentioned that they are using a meat-based, alternate meat in a burger or some kind of products.
So thank you so much. I think that's quite clarifying. In the meantime, I don't think any of our audience or people in this webinar have any questions, but Dr. Nitin, thank you so much for making the time. I know you have been very busy, including the relocation from Mumbai into Gujarat. So for everyone, Dr. Nitin moved from ICT Mumbai into Gujarat Biotechnology University, and just so that everyone knows, Gujarat Biotechnology University is the first biotechnology university in India, and a lot of interest and a lot of cutting edge, let's say, research is happening and will happen at this university moving forward in the next decade. And Jay Gupta also has a question here. Yes, I think he just joined the call. Hi, Jay, please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for this amazing presentation. Sir, I want to in the previous following up the previous question, how to upscale the downstreaming process or method for producing protein isolates.
Protein isolates.
Yes, sir.
See, it again, as I said, first you should have a proof of concept in laboratory. Okay, so where you it's a simple extraction methods. For example, let's take that alkali extraction of protein. Okay, so for that, what you require? It is a very simple instrumentation setup you will require, right? So kind of if you have to heat that mixture, okay, algal and NaOH
Yes.
mixture. Okay, so you will require a basic setup. So depending on your method of selection or production of or extraction of protein, you have to go for a scale up. So it all you have to decide in your lab scale only, that which method is feasible. Okay, and because if you get for example 70 or 80% protein from the chlorella or spirulina, but if that methodology is very costly, okay, then you cannot scale up, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
the selection of method should be such that it should be economically viable. Okay, though you can compromise with yield. For example, 5 or 10% yield will be less. That's okay. But if that is not adding capex and opex, then I think that it will become advisable to go with that method.
Correct.
Right. So it all depends then what kind of method you are choosing. So because see, pilot scale is nothing but scale up of your proof of concept and laboratory scale experiment or studies, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Great. So I think Jay is done with this question, and thanks for your reply, Dr. Nitin. So like I was saying, Gujarat Biotechnology is one of the first, not one of the first, the first biotechnology university in India. And I think moving forward, we'll have definitely a very long-term engagement charted out with the Gujarat Biotechnology University, with Dr. Nitin being a champion faculty researcher at the Gujarat Biotechnology University. And I think this is one of the priming, let's say, sessions in terms of giving let's say, a bird's eye view about the algal sector in general. And I think moving forward, we'll have much more exciting webinars coming up in the next several months about specific applications of microalgae plus specific applications of seaweed in terms of the alternative protein sector or the smart protein sector. So once again, thank you, Dr. Nitin, for allocating some time to share your knowledge with our audience today. And I think moving forward, we'll have, like I said before, much more exciting webinars slated. With this, I would like to end this webinar, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar today, and have a good evening.
Thank you.